With the Witch Queen campaign, Destiny has quickly shifted into high gear, hurtling toward the final shape and the end of the Light and Dark saga. But where are we going, exactly? And what comes next? Welcome back, Guardians, to another Embrace Destiny video. Kaz PhD here. Today, we're going to take a look at the lore that has been, recent events, and engage in some speculation as to the future of our Destiny. I hope you have your popcorn ready, both to enjoy and throw at the screen when you disagree. It's going to be a good discussion. Timestamps and full transcript in the description below. If you'd like to join the conversation, please check out my Discord and Twitch. I'm live most nights, and most of this video is the result of workshopping with my community. Come hang out. Today's video is going to be broken into three main parts. First, we're going to discuss the light and the dark, specifically the great game they are playing and how the board and pieces all look. Next, we're going to speculate as to the future ahead, both in the near term and what is to be the final shape. Finally, we're going to take some guesses as to what Destiny will look like after the final shape. All of this analysis and speculation is a combination of lore, storytelling principles, and also game design. I am no expert, nor do I work for Bungie or anything else related to Destiny. I'm just a fan, interested in these things, and these are my theories. So let's get into it. The game. The Book of Unveiling does a lot of work here. If you haven't read it recently, I highly recommend it. The book, discovered during Shadowkeep, seems to detail the origins of our universe and the motives of the light and the dark, as told by the Winnower, the embodiment of darkness itself. Now, to make things clear, here is a theory. The Winnower is the darkness entity, which is the Witness. That last one is a little tougher to pin down at the moment as the name is very fresh, but I believe this to be the case. The way everyone, including Savathun, talks about the Witness, it seems to be the one controlling the pyramid ships, which seem the closest affiliated to the entity of the darkness as possible, so I believe it to be the case. Savathun describes the Witness as someone with 1,000 names, and I believe that is what is happening here. One could argue that there may be different hierarchies, levels of management of the darkness. One could also argue that the Witness is more of a neutral third party between the light and the dark, but honestly, for simplicity's sake alone, I am assuming it is the darkness. The Winnower is the name of the entity in the Book of Unveiling. It follows a philosophy of weeding out what is unnecessary. That is what Winnower means. So while the gardener is planting seeds all the time, the Winnower cleans up what is left, what needs cleaning. In a way, as the Winnower itself claims, both are necessary for life. If you have nothing but the gardener, the universe fills with life that can't and doesn't end, and resources are limited. Is that Thanos I hear? If the Winnower is all that remains, there is no new life, no complexity, only a path of entropy leading to the end of all things. So both are needed. I will also say that just as the Winnower is the darkness entity, is the Witness controlling the pyramid fleet, I also believe that the gardener is something that controls the traveler. It is possible there is another name in the middle there, or it may be possible that the traveler is all there is. We'll see. But to make it absolutely clear, for the sake of this video, they are all the same. They usually only describe the form or the time period of which they're speaking. But they're all the same person, so to speak. So, the gardener and Winnower were sitting together playing a game. They were in a garden of sorts, mostly a pre-universe sandbox, a place of possibility. The universe didn't yet exist. They did. Them and the flowers in the garden. The game they were playing is similar to a real-life simulation, the Game of Life by John Conway. In both cases, there are two players, usually represented as light and dark pieces on a board, like the game Go. And there are rules for how pieces can be placed, removed, and captured. As the game continues, simulations project the outcome of the game, resulting in some beautiful and interesting patterns. Now, In the game the Winnower and Gardener were playing, the result was always the same. The game would always result in a similar final shape, a final outcome. This bored the Gardener. She wished for something new, so she decided to add a new rule, a new power that would create complexity. This upset the Winnower. The Winnower believed the game would always end the same way, but this new rule would just prolong suffering. I'm sure it was also upset that the Gardener was, in a way, cheating. They fought, and their fight created the universe and scattered the flowers. For a full read-up on this, check out the pages The First Knife and T=0 from the Book of Unveiling. Okay, so if the Winnower can be believed, the Winnower and Gardener, the creators and embodiment of darkness and light, created the universe, just one possibility from their garden of possibilities, and both entered the game of the universe hoping to win. Reading further, specifically the page The Wager, it seems that the goal is clear. Both sides are trying to win, and they are currently betting on us. This book confirms and expands on some ideas we've seen throughout Destiny's lore. In Destiny 1, we recover some pages from Toland, the Shattered, who talks about two queens. One, the Queen of Armies, and the other, the Queen of the Tower. Check out the Ghost Fragment Darkness 3 Grimoire card. The philosophy is well laid out. The Queen of Armies would do everything possible to win. Not only that, it would cut away at any competitor and shape the universe in such a way that winning was inevitable. Imagine rewriting a game so that winning was the only way forward for you. This is the sword logic. This is the final shape the Winnower was describing. Survival of the strongest, cut out the weak, shape the universe to be more favorable for you. Win the game. In both the Wager and the Darkness 3 cards, the Gardener is suggested, by the Winnower and by Toland, to want the following. Here, I wager that, given power over physics and the trust of absolute freedom, people will choose to build and protect a gentle kingdom ringed in spears, and not fall to temptation, and not surrender to division, and never yield to the cynicism that says, everyone else is so good that I can afford to be a little evil. Now, as usual, the Gardener itself has been fairly quiet on this point. You can see some more hints throughout different cards, but for the sake of simplicity, I will assume this is what the Gardener wants. So, both fought, put themselves in the game. The Traveler has been gifting light to those it sees fit, and we know now, thanks to the Witch Queen campaign, that it even meant to gift that light to the Hive. Well, the Krill. In any case, this is the game. Who will win? Whose philosophy is right? I believe this drives the Gardener and the Winnower completely, and more than that, I believe that they cannot turn away from this course or act contrary to it. The Winnower itself claims this, that they can only be as they are, whereas we have the ability to choose. Again, it could be another lie, but I think not. The Gardener will always work toward complexity, and the Winnower toward a simple, final shape. So, while that game has gone back and forth for a while, it has been arguably quiet for most of Destiny's lifespan. Sure, we've had Guardians of Light fighting the Hive's darkness, but the big players have been fairly quiet. Until now. The Witness is coming, and this time, it aims to win. So what's next? Well, it seems fairly well agreed among the community that Lightfall and the final shape will result in some grand battle, some conclusion to this game, this light and dark fight. With a game like Destiny, I am not sure where else it could be headed. It is an action MMO, after all. So, those expansions will very likely deal with the battle between light and dark and the fallout that remains. I wrote a video some time ago theorizing that the Ascendant Realm could be the key to bringing our planets and moons back. My theory was that these worlds were hidden, veiled in the Ascendant Plane, and our recent lessons in wayfinding during Season of the Lost would help us recover them. Recent memories of Savathun found on her throne world seems to suggest part of this to be true. The witness is said to have the power to move worlds from one reality to another, and this is what happened to Mercury, Mars, Titan, and Io. More so, it seems that Savathun also has this power, as she tried to do the same thing to the Traveler. Recent conversations with Savathun, alongside some weapons returning in Nightfalls this season, Duty Bound and Silicon Neuroma, original Nightfall loot from Titan and Io respectively, seem to suggest that the conversation regarding our lost allies is still ongoing. During one of the memories in the Altar of Reflection, Savathun talks about Mars coming back, and asks us where the rest of our friends are. Now, I have to tell you, this next theory is so good that I almost didn't want to write it. In copyright law, it is dangerous, murky ground when a fan writes something similar to what someone in the industry is writing. We've made a lot of theories in our community, and strangely, a lot of them have come to pass. Sometimes word for word, exactly as we have suspected. Do I think Bungie is taking my ideas? God, no. Their writers are infinitely more talented than I am, and they draw on so many good ideas, history, culture, and weave one of my most favorite worlds and stories ever. No. At best, I think that I am using decent narrative analysis, doing what I can to think like Bungie, and since I understand the characters of Destiny fairly well, all of that results in me being close to the mark sometimes. Just to be clear, it's a fun little joke in my community that I should be getting royalties, but it is just a joke. So, building off my theory of using the Ascendant Realm, or maybe this power that Savathun has, to recover our lost worlds, the next theory is boosted by my friend 6-Foot Dwarf. The idea is that we may have many seasons where these worlds partially return. Maybe we uncover an area which looks similar but different to a world we have lost. Story-wise, this is because it has been changed by darkness, and mechanically it might be that the area was updated, relit, revamped, and returned from the content vault. As we explore these strange new-ish worlds, we may encounter specific antagonists or allies. Here's the best example. Let's say we return to Titan, but not the Titan we know. Darker and more focused on the arcology. The under the methane sea part. As we explore, we sometimes fight a boss wielding strange powers and a suit of armor. Eventually, we'll learn that this is Sloan. Deputy Commander Sloan, quoted on the duty-bound auto rifle, who is last seen in some lore donning some power armor to fight the darkness and keep Titan safe. Our idea here is that the armor has confused Sloan, and she no longer recognizes friend from foe, thinks we're a manifestation of the darkness or something. I believe the armor was mentioned to have hive symbols on it, similar to the Crown of Sorrow. So it's very possible the armor has been corrupted in a similar way. Anyway, that season would be about getting Sloan and Titan back, one more ally to fight the darkness, maybe new skills learned along the way. A similar idea may be closer to happening, if Anna's presence in the Witch Queen cutscene is any indication. Maybe Rasputin will be put into an exo, and we'll have some of the power of the Warmind at our side. In any case, building up to this great Avengers moment is where I see this all going, recovering allies and gaining skills to take on and lead this fight. Along the way, there may be some unexpected allies and unexpected enemies. Since we know that the Traveler originally was going to gift the light to the pre-Hive, it is possible that some Hive may become a different kind of enemy, or maybe a different kind of ally. I don't personally believe that we will ever become as close with Hive as with Elixni or even Cabal, but maybe they'll have similar interests and we'll work together here, for survival at least. So, the final shape, the final fight. What is that going to look like? A few years ago, the fight may have looked like a battle between good and evil, light versus dark, but that seems much less certain now. There's harsh criticism being leveled at the Traveler. It has been silent for a long time, seemingly doing very little, gifting Hawk Moon and the Radiant Dissipator ship, working in quiet and mysterious ways. In a manner, the philosophy of the light may be the cause of concern and criticism. If the traveler believes in giving gifts and letting us think for ourselves, it will take a removed stance. It will remain quiet. But that creates distance. We've had no guidance or demonstrable support from the traveler except for keeping the darkness from veiling all of our worlds. So it could be hard to understand, hard to side with. Recent events have cast even more doubt. If the witness is to be believed, the traveler wanted to gift the light to the hive, but they were tricked into accepting the darkness first. Eris points out a similar thing happening to the Elixni, who had the traveler overhead, but it was chased off by the hive. So it appears that we, Guardians, humanity, were just third place. We're part of the light, amassing one force, one army to push the darkness back. Could the story go this way? Sure. It's a nice story, one told often enough, light overcoming dark. But I have a different theory. I believe that Guardians are the final shape, and I believe that we will beat both the darkness and the light. The Winnower is already convinced that we are the final shape, and while I think many Guardians and even the Vanguard generally agree with the philosophy of the Traveler, I think there's a growing distance between us and the pale orb in the sky. The Traveler and the Witness have their own game, and I believe that's all they care about. Since Bungie has told us that the final shape will be the end of the Light and Dark saga, to me, that means the Gardener and Winnower need to go away, not be in Destiny anymore. So to me, that means that either the Gardener and Winnower are sent away, or they are destroyed. Perhaps they are sent away, either to a far-off place to fight their war, or maybe sealed away in another dimension, like Savathun wanted to do with the Traveler. Or maybe they are destroyed. Perhaps we fight for ourselves and our allies, and our ability to go beyond light or dark makes us victorious. But how? How could we do this? How could this happen? How could anyone stand against the Winnower and the Gardener? Well, here's the thing. When the Gardener and Winnower first fought and the universe was made, many possibilities were denied, cut out. See, it's like Schrodinger's box or Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. Both basically say that you do not know the state of a given system, usually atoms and their electrons, until you are directly observing them. A closed box could have anything inside, anything that could fit. While the box is closed, there are so many possibilities. But once the box is opened, the possibilities narrow down to one, the one you are observing. So when the universe was created, that limited all the possible universes the Winnower and Gardener could play in, down to one. Ours. Next, when they inserted themselves into the game, I think they limited their own possibility, their own potential, in a significant way. This stems from another theory I have on the strength of the Winnower and the Gardener. What are they capable of? Well, if the Book of Unveiling is to be believed, they were the original embodiment of the light and the dark. They were gods, capable of doing anything. But when the universe was made, and they inserted themselves into the game, I think something changed. Why would perfectly powerful, omnipotent beings need to lie to anyone? Why would they need to travel here and there? How could they be deceived? One could argue that they kept an aloof distance, like scientists watching an experiment or coaches watching their favorite teams play. But I think it's more than that. We have seen their direct involvement before. If they were both the source and controllers of all light and dark in the universe, by the Winnower's own admission, they would be capable of affecting everything and everyone, down to the subatomic level. The P53 lore card from Unveiling has the Winnower discussing how it was the reason we have the P53 cell, a cell which limits growth and cleans up waste within a body. The Winnower discusses this to try to have us relate to it, feel its relevance and importance, because we need that cell. And if the Winnower was responsible for it, then we need the Winnower. However, neither the Winnower nor the Gardener are capable of controlling all the cells in all bodies. They're not capable of completely controlling everything. Not just because they are in conflict with each other, but because it would be narratively boring. Having a creature that can control everything severely limits how a story can be told, how conflict can pass and be resolved. So, either these two do control everything, but they're kept in a balance, or they don't control everything. One analogy here is that the winnower and the gardener were like two giant balloons filled with dark and light, respectively. They poured much of that into the sandbox of the universe, and they remain two of the largest concentrations of their power. But they are not in control of the mud and the sand. They have influenced it, but they do not control it. Another theory, thanks again, Six, that fits in line with the lore cards I have mentioned, is imagine a chess game with two queens. The queen is the most powerful piece on the board. It can move in any direction, but it isn't the main winner of the game. If a pawn makes it to the other side, or in our case, if species gain enough power and knowledge, it can become a queen too, on the same level as the others. So, this is how we could win. We can control light and dark, and more so, we can choose. We can act whatever way we want. If either of them can only act according to their fundamental nature, it means we can do things they cannot. While we have a long road between fighting with Savathûn and fighting the light and the dark, I do believe that's where we're headed. Well, what's next? What happens if we win? Well, depending on if the Witness and Traveler are sent away or destroyed, this battle will have consequences on our connection with the light and dark. Beyond Light taught us to look within to access stasis, a power of darkness, and I believe Lightfall may teach us the same thing with the light. We will look within and channel the power of light that is within us, and by that measure we won't actually need our ghosts anymore. But don't worry. I think our friendship is well established, and I don't see a need for our ghosts to go anywhere. One outcome is that we become true masters of the light and dark. We move beyond these two entities. One could argue that we would then essentially become the new gods of the universe, but again, I think that's narratively limited. The simplest solution is that we become the masters of light and dark. The Traveler and Witness are defeated or removed, and we move on. We don't need them to protect ourselves, or even to use the power they originally granted us. The game progresses by having us fight something else. Another offshoot of this is that if the entities are more than defeated, if their power is spread throughout the universe, like the balloons have popped, then we will be the masters, but maybe we'll have even more light and dark infused enemies to fight. My most dramatic idea is that we actually move completely beyond light and dark. We defeat the enemies, defend ourselves. For all intents and purposes, the entities are removed from the game. We win the game of life, prove we are the final shape, and we use our power to completely remove that power from the board. Think of it like washing all of that power from the balloons so completely over the sand that there really isn't a concentration of it anymore. If that happens, Guardians would likely take up a new power, maybe not directly connected to the light and dark, maybe derived from it, but less directly. When the final shape comes out, the Destiny franchise will be 10 years old. Bungie's statements have made it seem like the game and franchise will continue, and who knows how that will be helped or hindered by Sony. The language they have used makes it seem, to me, that the story will continue. Maybe through another game, maybe through more expansions. My idea of moving beyond the light and dark is not only based in theory on the lore, but in speculation over the game and its design. Essentially, I'm thinking of a balance between we've been doing this for 10 years, and we really need to do something bold and different to keep this game on the forefront. A balance between that idea and, well, we have an established IP, and we put so much work into this, we don't want to abandon it. So, yes, you heard it here first. I think the Witness, the Traveler, even the Light and Dark will eventually be sunset. Where does Destiny's story go from there? Well, for Guardians, they keep doing what they do, using tremendous power to protect our own, explore, find loot, and uncover mysteries. In terms of mechanics and power, I imagine we learn to absorb power around us, which may be an offshoot of the light and dark or something different. Imagine pulling from Anthem's book and some other games, where you can interact a bit with the environment. Maybe we have nature-based subclasses. Imagine a druid-like class where you channel vines and poison, or even if we use Arc, Solar, and Void, imagine we could absorb those elements from the environment, similar to the Eclipse Zones empowering stasis on Europa right now. In terms of Destiny's story, I imagine one of two scenarios: going out or going in. Going out involves us leaving the solar system. Whether our solar system is destroyed in the battle or saved and everyone is an ally, Guardians may choose to take the fight elsewhere, recover the homeworld of the Cabal, find a new world for the Elixni, take the fight to the Vex. Could be a Battlestar Galactica situation, where we are living in ships moving into deep space, similar to a vision of a possible future that some future war cult people saw. Or just taking the fight out to keep the borders of our system safe. Going in is more about staying at home. Perhaps we finally clean up the mess we and the light and dark have made. Maybe we clean up old Chicago, the Manhattan nuclear zone. Maybe Destiny leans a little more into the RPG side of things, and we build up villages and forts and cities. It's a little unprecedented in Destiny, since we barely ever even go to the last city, but it's an idea, and would certainly be a big, innovative step forward like I mentioned earlier. Maybe too big. But it is something I personally would love to see. So, that's a lot. Let's review everything, maybe make a trailer for this video, shall we? In a theory that I am calling the grand scheme, I am theorizing that the following is true, and this is how Destiny will move forward. The Winnower and Gardener are playing a game of life and philosophy. Their entire goal is to see who is right and who will win. The Gardener entered the game to change the rules, make different outcomes. The Winnower followed to tip things back in its favor. See the Book of Unveiling. The current wager is on Guardians. Which side will we choose? The final shape is a lead up to a final conflict between the light and the dark. Guardians are the final shape. Confirmed by the Winnower, and a result that we can do what the Gardener and Winnower cannot, we can choose, we can do both, or neither. Theory. When the Gardener and Winnower entered the game, their power was limited somewhat. They can't control all light and all dark, just a lot of it. Like two queens on a chessboard. And just like chess, pawns are capable of becoming queen-like in power. Theory. The road ahead will be all sides seeking allies and power. I believe we will revisit, maybe recover, lost worlds and allies. Xivu Arath, the Witness, and anyone on its side will represent the dark. Theory. The outcome of the final shape is that either we will win, or we will rid the universe of the Witness and the Traveler. Perhaps both. Either they are sent or sealed away, or they are destroyed. Either their power is shared among all, or so spread out it doesn't impact Destiny anymore. Guardians will either become true masters of light and dark, business as usual, fighting new things, probably the Vex, to be honest, or Guardians will abandon light and dark and take on new power, maybe derived from light and dark but not directly connected to it. Theory. The story will then either involve going out, seeking out adventures and threats far away, reclaiming worlds for others, or going in, more RPG focused, reclaiming and building up the worlds we have lost in the collapse. Whew, and that's it. That's finally it. I know this is a super long video, but I really hope you've enjoyed it. It's a bunch of ideas I've been working on for a long time, and while I could have made separate videos, I think these ideas work well and flow well together. Now I finally have a resource I can point to when someone asks me where I think Destiny is going. Maybe I'll be completely wrong. Maybe not. Bungie does an amazing job at surprising us, while also remaining very consistent. It's incredible, actually, and I'm very excited for what's coming next. What do you think of my ideas? I hope you've enjoyed this. As always, if you wish to join the conversation, feel free to comment below or join my Discord or Twitch. Always happy to explore new ideas with new people. Anyway, thank you all very much for watching and listening. I hope you found it interesting. I hope my ideas have merit. As always, I ask that you be safe, be kind, and I'll see you all next time, Guardians. Bye now.